Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English news from Djibouti channel. Here are the headlines of our edition tonight. The titles are: the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, arrived this morning in Yokohama to participate the 7th TIGAD summit. On continental news, Tayyip Recep Erdogan in Moscow to discuss Syrian issues. Welcome if you join us. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, landed this morning at Haneda Airport in Japan. The President will take part in the 7th TIGAD summit, which opens tomorrow on 27. Among the 4,500 guests for this summit, heads of state and the government, representative of international and regional organization, private sector operators, actors of African and Japanese civil actors and African and Japanese civil society, not to mention a large delegations that accompanies the president, composed of his head of diplomacy, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the Minister of Finance, Mr. Ilyas Moussa Dawale, the President of the Poor and Free Zone, Mr. Abu Bakr Umar Hadi, as well as the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Yusuf Moussa Dawale, and the Director of the ANPA, Mr. Mahdi. This international conference was focused on issues related to Africa's development, particularly in the public-private partnership, investment, health, but also the energy and infrastructure sector. The TIGAD, acronym for the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, was created in 1993 to promote a high-level political dialogue between African leaders and their development partners. The meeting, organized under the leadership of Japan and co-organized by the United Nations, the UNDP, the World Bank, and the African Union Commission since 2003. With TIGAD, Japan occupies a central place in promoting an international dialogue for the development of Africa. Innovative approach of TIGAD include the concept of African ownership and international partnership, promoting the participation of international organizations, donor countries, the private sector, and civil society organization. The different TIGAD summit took place in Japan every 5 years until 2030. Since then, this summit has been held every 3 years, alternately in Africa and Japan. In 2016, this is the first summit. This time, this summit have been held in Nairobi, Kenya, making the first edition of TIGAD on African soil. This initiative responds to the growing desire of fast-growing Africa in terms of economic growth and taking charge of this development agenda. Japanese Prime Minister Mr. Shinzo Abe, accompanied by 77 prominent figures from business and the academic community, demonstrated the firm commitment made by a Japanese public and private sector. Beyond the strong focus on trade, investment, and technical corporations, African partnership include TIGAD, are paying increasing attention to peace and security issues, including peacekeeping and facing the terrorism issues. The President of the National Assembly, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Hamad, received yesterday a courtesy visit from the high-level implementations group of the African Union, IGAD, and the United Nations, led by Thabo Mbeki, former president of the South Africa and currently at the head of the high-level groups. This three-party panel include in its ranks Mr. Ramtane Lambara, High Representative of the EU to the Silent Arm, the Special Envoy of IGAD for the Red Sea, Mahmoud Ali Guyo, and Perfect Organi Agenyo, UN Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa. The meeting between President Mohammed and his distinguished guests also saw the participation of Geli Idris Omar, Director of Multilateral Relations and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, and Abdul Qadir Ibrahim Idris, Director of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Legislative Procedures of the National Assembly. The Minister of Interior, Mr. Hassan Omar, received today. The Minister of Interior, received today the Sudanese General. The Minister of Interior received today the Sudanese General delegation led by Police General Adil Muhammad Ahmed, who benefited from this visit in order to discover the various missions of the national police. The Sudanese delegation led by the Sudanese Police General Adil Muhammad Ahmed to visit the police academy Idris Farah Abane. This guided visit to the APFA was intended to make the professions of policemen known, but also to discover the importance of the work of these men and women who watch day and night the maintenance of order and security to the country. Welcome on their arrival by the Colonel of the National Police, Abdullahi Abdi Farah, and the Lieutenant of the APIF, Lieutenant Colonel Ilmi Dahir Miguel, and the instructors of the academy. He made a different visit to the different departments to that institute. Under the auspices of the Ministry of Urban Planning, Environment and Tourism, a training workshop on the preparation of bankable project of the Green Climate Fund was held yesterday at the Acacias Hotel in Djibouti. The launch of the training was chaired by the Secretary General of the Minister of Environment, Mr. Dini Abdullah Umar. In terms of energy productions, Djibouti has produced until 2011 most of its energy needs through the use of thermal power plants running on heavy fuel oil. Starting in 2011, Djibouti imports hydropower generated electricity from Ethiopia, which has enabled the country to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by tons of CO2. The workshop will continue until August 28 and was attended by several people from the Ministry of Environment. In the same context, the FAD made up several corps and formations have been awarded to the public schools. For example, the Arm Regiment and the Regiment Quartier General were awarded the Gabod High School and the Stadium Training Center, and many others work to clean the different schools before the beginning of the new year. In the day of August 26 take place a significant event rich in emotivity. The company, the NGO ICANN, has set up the project of installation of a community space to improve the situation of inhabitants of Merkazi attend the event. The prefect of the region, Mr. Hassan, and the president of the regional council, Mr. Mohammed Hamad, the inhabitants of Merkazi, the Japanese embassy, the member of the HCR, and other local and international partners who have close to contribute to the success of this project. The executive director of ICANN did not fail to provide an overview of the objective and content of the one-year project funded by the government of Japan and implemented by the ICANN. On continental news, Vladimir Putin and Recep Tayyip Erdogan say they would like to work together to calm the situation in the border region of Turkey despite their divergent interests. President Erdogan has warned that Turkey will take all necessary measures to protect its soldiers deployed in the region, according to comments translated into Russian. Here we're at the end of this news edition. Thank you for watching us. Have a good day, have a good night, and goodbye.